Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to another dream today. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Happy Friday, y'all. Good to see you, good to see you. We're having a nice chill Friday today. We're going to be playing Ballads at midnight, which, let me just triple check. But I'm pretty sure it is a romance visual novel. Yes. When a sarcastic bard is arrested and exiled to an abandoned castle, she expects to be at the mercy of a hungry, bloodthirsty vampire. She soon discovers that the vampire, Lucius, is not starving. He is gravely bored. She may just survive on borrowed time, one ballad each night. So it's kind of a like romance visual novel where you are a bard and I guess you've been exiled and you romance a vampire, and I thought it was a really interesting concept. It came out 2022, July 15, 2022, according to Steam. So 2022, not so long ago, a couple years ago. I have not heard of it. I have not seen anybody play this. I have not played this myself yet. So we're going to be playing this for the first time for me. Let's switch over. There we go. And yeah, let's jump into Ballads at Midnight, guys. I'm really excited. Right. Prelude to Dawn, Chapter 1. Now, since it's a bard kind of visual novel, I'm expecting the music to be very good. I'll have to see. My wrists itch. My stomach is churning and empty. My legs are sore. Swath of hemp fabric strung taut around my cheek, tied in a knot behind my head, is chafing at the corners of my mouth. There's bitterness on my... I idly wonder if it's the taste of regret. Two armed escorts right ahead of me, exchanging hushed words. Make a short, unhappy noise to contribute to the conversation. They ignore me. Are you sure, sir? Really, are you? Shouldn't we stop and make camp before sundown, sir? Mocked guardsman. The young guardsman is jittery and demanding, with a stooped posture that reminds me of a rat. His round face is marred by pockmarks and worry lines. No need, we're making good time. The other guard, as old and large as a cavern wall, has a deep, crusty voice well suited to his frame. I once saw him struggle to fit through a door. The pockmarked guard glances towards the horizon, gritting his teeth. But, sir... Enough. We'll be rid of her today. Be rid of me like being rid of some piss-stained rug? How rude. What did I ever do to warrant such objectification? Feeling vexed, I continue to groan and yowl against the hemp between my teeth. It's inarticulate and far from the most graceful sound I've ever made, but I make it sound increasingly urgent. Noise. More noise. One of them pulls the reins on his horse, dismounting with a dull armored clatter like a rattling dish cabinet. It's the younger one. Good. He approaches me, muttering swears as he reaches back to yank the gag from my head. What, convict? What is it now? Oh. Interesting. I like this kind of like side view of choices. Okay. So we could be, it looks like we could be a bard. Or we could, you know, have a rational response to being tied up. I think we're going to be a bard. I think this is our calling to just be a bard, right? Most people buy me a drink before they bring out the gag. Stop it. Stop it. He hisses the word low under his breath, though his ears glow a traitor shade of tomato red. It wasn't funny the first time, and it won't be funny the next time. Oh, it wasn't funny the first time, and it won't be funny the next time. There won't even be a next time at the rate we're going. I can say it pretty fast, I think. Gods, you really haven't learned your lesson. What's wrong with you? He sounds almost amazed. If my hands were untied, I'd twirl my wrists and do a curtsy. So instead, I sidle up to him, reaching out to brush my knuckles near his waistband. What's wrong? I wager you know exactly what's wrong. I was under the impression when we passed ritualistic sacrifice civilization, I thought we were better than all this. Yet here you knuckleheads are, dragging me through the woods to feed me to a godforsaken vampire. I stomp on a branch when I get close enough. The ensuing crack obscures the sound as I unsheath the dagger from his belt. I palm it under my sleeve in a quick motion, hoping my ruse goes unnoticed. The guard stumbles away from me. He draws the sword to keep me at bay, snarling. Keep away, you heretic! Don't come near me! I raise my bound wrists in front of my chest, widening my eyes to look appropriately frightened. And I still have his dagger. By the time he clambers back onto his horse, his older companion extends his arm and smacks the back of the younger guardsman's head. Idiot. Now we have to listen to her belly aching for the rest of the journey. Do we? The younger guard rubs his head, sounding defensive. She's caused nothing but trouble. Why not slit her throat and be done with it? Let the wildlife take care of their own. Ah. The old guard hits him again. I find humor in his slapstick routine. They weren't discussing my imminent demise. Truth, boy, we carry Her Majesty's orders to the letter. You and I, no shortcuts. You know the severity of our laws. Underhanded practice will cost you your damn hands. Pockmarked guard hunches forward further at his shoulders. His eyes dart around like he wants to argue, but he begrudgingly keeps his mouth shut. I, on the other hand, have dog penchant, making my observations known, and am blessed with quick retorts. Or is it just costs the fingers if you're lucky, I notice our wise old man here is missing a digit or two. I raise my restrained palms, wiggling my fingers. They glower balefully at me. I've seen actual battlefields, harlot. Do not threaten me to your crooked, barber-rolling ilk. Convict, heretic, and now harlot? Wonderful. I roll my eyes and wrinkle my nose at him. I'll bet anything that the old man is lying. Alluvia hasn't waged any wars in the past half-century. Furthermore, he boasted to my jailers that he's been assigned to this post for the brunt of his service to the crown. But I know better than to push my luck with him. He's more prone to violence than the other guardsmen. I used to lag behind at the start of our journey, defiant and stubborn. The old one never hesitated to yank the rope around my wrist, lurching me right into brambles and sharp stones. Defying him, I learned, meant having scraped palms and knees at best. Our pace carefully slows when we cross over a mossy log in a series of thick, tangled roots, for the horse's sake, of course, rather than mine. I work my jaw in silence for a while, keeping a measured distance behind them. My grip on the dagger is unwieldy and clumsy. Aiming it towards my bonds is trickier than I imagined. I flinch as the point jabs against my inner arm, but shoot the guards a winning smile when they turn to look at me. So, good old cursed forest, eh? Did you volunteer to escort prisoners through the blighted brush, or was it, an inherited post? Father's father and such? Pockmarked guard scoffs and mimics my words under his breath. Nothing to fear in these woods, lass, not if you're properly armed. Nothing but bears and wolves. People steer clear because they fear what lies in wait beyond. Surely you know that much. The men don't need to tell me how they were assigned to their role. None of my business, I suppose. An overhead canopy of leaves parts, allowing patches of sunlight to heat my scalp and cheek. The journey has been long and exhausting, but not altogether difficult. I'd even consider it idyllic from this perpetual backdrop of birdsong and distantly running water. Any sense of leisure sinks and coils at the pit of my stomach when I realize the birds have gone silent, and the sound of water has risen into a dull roar. Before us is a murky disk of water, blemished green with algae, miles long, miles wide, and harrowingly uncertain depth. A jagged, ostentatious estate, protruding from the ground like a sword through someone's back, looms across the water's expanse. Not the first decrepit castle I've seen in my travels, but it may be my last. That's where I'll be staying then. Home sweet home. Shit, I've barely shorn through a quarter of my restraint. Even if I make a break for it now, they'd run me down on horseback. I tried it before, back when they marched me through the Greater Plains. They nearly trampled me in a pate. Quiet down. Sorry, lass. You may wish to take this time to consider your last word. That's not a bad idea. I could hit you with a real zinger before I go. The old guard groans, mumbling a bitter prayer. I barely have time to hide the dagger before he dismounts and shoves me with more force than necessary. Oof. He loads me unceremoniously into a ramshackle little boat, leaving the pockmarked guard to deal with me while he tends to the horses. My breath catches when the remaining guard takes the seat opposite to me. His gawky movements nearly make the boat capsize before we've even left the shore. The boat cuts through algae like a knife. Over on dry land, the old guardsman takes a heavy seat in the grass as he watches the sun descend. It's a more serene view than he deserves. Take a deep breath and open my mouth to shout. What do we shout? You old bastard. Overgrown prune. Which one? Does it matter? I don't know how much these choices matter. I did not save. Usually I save before choices. But I don't think this visual novel is very long. How long is it actually? Look. What's its runtime? 3 to 4 hours per playthrough. Okay, so not horribly long, but long enough. So we might play this a few times. Let's just be candid about it. Overgrown prune. The young guard bites back a chuckle and clears his throat. I suppose he's freer to find revelry now that we're safe to stay away. As I warily crane my neck around, I observe how the water completely surrounds the estate. It makes this a moat, but there curiously isn't a drawbridge in sight. At its northeast and westward edges, the moat connects to a river. Following one side will likely lead one straight into the Rubifian Ocean. It's quite lovely, really, to be surrounded by such a wealth of natural water. Shame I never learned how to swim. Damn. Swimming would be good right now. I don't suppose I can persuade you to ferry me over yonder, all the way around on the other side of the shore. The guard elects not to reply. He won't even look at me now. Aside from the oars carving through the water, the remaining boat ride is hushed and nerve-wracking. I sit up straight and stock still, trying to keep my weight centered despite the stinging insects nipping at my neck and ankles. The sun turns red as it dips closer to the horizon. He's worried about the vampire. It takes half an hour to reach the other side, if not longer. Beyond the lip of water is a carved ledge with a pit of trenches surrounding the estate's perimeter. The guard wastes no time forcing me upright and pushing me off to the side. I fall into a roll, barely cushioned by the impact of grassy mud. I aim myself back up with effort, ready to yell the insult boiling at the tip of my tongue. To my surprise, the young guard is still up there, lingering at the edge. Oh. Should we be coy or should we be honest? Should be coy. It's me already. I quirk my head to the side and bat my eyelashes at him. His response is slow and deliberate. I won't even remember you by tomorrow. I hardly know you, convict, and you don't even know my name. Who needs names? We're two ships passing in the night, you and I. But it's not too late to change that, We could soaring off into the sunset together. Come on, help me out. With the sun setting behind the guardsman, his features are cast in an unreadable shadow. His fingers twitch and tap at his side. He casts an uneasy glance over his shoulder before finally he grumbles and rummages through his overcoat. From it, he pulls out the neck of a familiar instrument and throws it onto the ground with me. I cry out as my lute lands in the mud, nearly falling into my own shoulder as I reach and fail to catch it. You owe me in your next life, convict. I hope this accursed thing provides you some comfort in your final moments. I glare up at him. Old guy made you nervous, didn't he? All that talk about cutting off hands for being underhanded. Shut up. I knew you were acting jumpy for a reason. I just knew it. You were gonna pawn off my poor little beauty here, but now you don't want to risk getting caught with him. Paul it. He spits at me before he hurries away. I listen for the sound of the boat sloshing into the water and then the creak of oars shortly thereafter. Now, why is it that when people don't know how else to argue with a woman, they must remark on how frequently she has sex? With effort, I dislodge the dagger in the inside of my sleeve. Still unwieldy, by cutting myself loose is a little easier when I don't need to hide the blade from my captors. Hold on, I just had a thought. What are the settings? Play, text font, text speed, auto speed. Okay, that's all fine. Is it the only settings? Sound settings? Voice, music, sound, me. Okay, that's fine. Go back. Alright. I was wondering if there was like a streamer only or like a what's it called, a 18 plus setting that I need to turn off. I don't think it has anything like that. It did say it was T for teen because of like alcohol and violence. I pick up my loot, carefully wiping off the dirt and grime before I check and adjust its strings. I holster it across my back where it belongs. It's thankfully intact, but I'm not sure I can say the same about myself. I know I need to come up with a plan. I need to explore and get familiar with my surroundings. To get a hiding spot while there's still daylight. My entire body is aching. I won't get far if I push myself to move now. I checked the inside of my clothes for the last of my possessions, kept safe and hidden under the lining. I'd never been more grateful to have learned invisible stitching. A handful of coins in my songwriting journal are all I have left. I had hidden a number of small blades on my person, but I was too reckless in my previous escape attempts. I kept getting caught and they confiscated all my knives. The guardsman's dagger isn't too shabby, at least. I stuck the blade into my belt, careful not to poke myself. I'll be ready to use it when it's dark. The ledge I fell from casts a long shadow. I edge away from it into the remaining light, and I concentrate on taking deep, rejuvenating breaths. This creature of the night, I've heard it can change its very shape. If it pursues me in the form of some animal, I doubt I can outrun it for very long. It's wise to save my strength so I can battle whatever form it takes. After all, I'm determined not to go down easily. You are fighting a vampire, though, so... Chapter 2, Rhapsodic Introduction. Dusk falls. There's barely a sliver of apricot orange glowing across the horizon, which means my shelter of light dims and shrinks by the minute. I shiver as the evening cold burrows under my clothes, and I sense the vampire just moments before I hear it speak.
Well.
Ooh.
Gift from the crown.
Voice acted. Ooh. The creature's airy serpentine voice moves around me as it prowls beyond the perimeter of remaining light, watching me, circling me like a vulture.
What grievous crimes you must have committed to be sent all the way here.
I draw my dagger, pointing it at the source.
Assessing your dinner, beast? Your mother should have taught you not to play with your food.
The voice lapses in a contemplative hum. My heart hammers against my ribs as I lose track of the vampire in the silence. I twist around, catching sight of its eyes reflected in moonlight right when it lunges. The vampire snatches me by the wrist. The skin on its dark clawed hand bubbles under the waning sunlight before it wrenches me into the shadows. My dagger clatters to the ground.
You're talkative. I usually like it when they're talkative. But yours is an insolent nature. No doubt you've ended up here by disrespecting some local authority.
The vampire hoists my arm above our heads, positioning us to face as he regards me. I scrutinize him in turn. He bears similarities to a human man, but I steal a glance upwards, observing his already healed hand with dismay.
You smell of chain rust, fresh soil, dried blood, and incense.
Yeah, I'm a big hit with nuns and orphans.
What am I doing? This isn't the time for banter. I struggle in his grasp. He steps forward and we remain blanketed under the gloom of darkness. There's a small clatter underfoot as he drives his boot under my dagger, kicks it upright, and then snatches the blade out of the air in a fluid motion. Twirls the dagger between his long fingers, appraising it.
Most unusual. Few of my guests manage to smuggle a means to escape their bonds. If I had to wager, you must be a talented cutpurse, which wouldn't be the worst offense, all things considered.
Stop manhandling me!
Ew, listen to voice acting. With my free open palm, I smack him hard across the face and yank my captive hand free. He flinches at the blow, looking more astonished than anything. I don't stay long enough to watch how he reacts next. I run. My lungs are heavy in my chest and my body is screaming at me to catch my breath, but I can't stop now. There's nothing I can use in the courtyard. My only choice is to head into the estate and hope to find a means of escape. There's gotta be a ladder or something I can use to scale that damn ledge. Then I just need to find something buoyant, like a wood panel or a door, something. I run down dizzying, identical hallways. Down several cavernous rooms, displacing dining chairs and overturning saloon end tables in my wake. Hey, Meowster! Welcome, welcome! We've just been unceremoniously dropped off at a vampire's mansion as a ritualistic sacrifice because I guess we're a bard? I don't really know why, but we're kind of not really flirting with the vampire. We're mostly running away and slapping him. But he's toying with us because of course he would. He's the hunter. So we're running right now. We're trying to find a way out. But there's nothing I can use to escape. Nothing I can narrow down in my panic. All the while, the vampire follows me with a stride. He rubs his cheek with narrowed eyes.
Will you slow down? This is terribly tedious.
Oh yeah, and it's voice acted. Go figure. I love a visual novel that's voice acted, especially when the voice actor's got such a great voice. Listen to this vampire's voice, man.
No.
And our main character, us, the prisoner, we have a great voice as well. I really like it. I wonder if it's going to be voice acted all the way through, or if it's just going to be in these, like, first few scenes. She does dress very risque. She's a bard. She's gotta just a little sexy. He hasn't changed his shape, but I know how quickly he can pounce if I let him near. I can't let him get close. I topple a nearby cabinet, sending it careening onto the floor between us. The vampire makes a small offended noise amid the sound of crashing glass. He probably liked that stuff. Before he can react further, I seize a standing vase and hold it aloft, ready to throw.
Stop. Stop it. Calm down.
I pivot my grasp on the lip of the vase, bending my arms menacingly. Watered flowers slosh onto the floor.
You dare to tell me to calm down? Really?
Yeah, right? There's an audibly muffled sigh when the vampire steeples his hands in front of his nose.
I despise the chase. Look at this blasted mess.
He did make a big mess.
Do you realize no one else lives here? After you're gone, who do you think has to clean up the remains of your rampage?
Well, you are about to eat us, so I feel like a rampage is warranted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're criticizing the way I'm fighting for my life?
Right? Oh, that was such a good line delivery. I love her line delivery.
You must understand, mortal. Despite what the good people of Illuvia will have you believe, I have no bestial compulsion to take your life, alright? Though I'll admit you have sorely tempted me with the prospect of your demise, there is a civilized alternative worth considering.
Ooh, I was eating something real quick. I was eating something while he was talking, and then he stopped talking, and I was like, oh no. A civilized alternative to becoming a withered, bloodless corpse decorating his hallway. I keep the vase aloft, halfway between willful rebellion and uncertain curiosity.
I'm listening.
That is all I ask. First of all, this here.
He dangles the dagger between two fingers as if it's some dirty sock he found in my chambers.
As a show of good faith, I will return to you this nasty little thing. In exchange, you will not stab me with it.
That would be so annoying, wouldn't it?
Its blade is neither sharp nor long enough to kill me, but it will deeply annoy me. If I'm deeply annoyed, I will be forced to rescind my good faith and tear you to shreds.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah, I got it. Don't stop the guy. I furrow my brows, but I nod. It makes sense. If I actually want to incapacitate him, I'd at least need a larger weapon. I've yet to hear any myths where vampires were notoriously weak to standard cavalry daggers.
Good girl. Here.
He tosses the... Right? This vampire's got great line deliveries. I love just the tone of his voice, too. It's so good. Got nice, like, deep timbre. It's cute. He tosses the dagger over to me. It slides along the floor until I stop it with the heel of my boot. I don't bend to pick it up.
Our next matter at hand is the barter.
Okay.
I've been known to spare and set my prisoners free in exchange for knowledge or for an item of substantial value. Fortunately for you, I noticed the loot strapped to your back while you were racing through my abode.
Oh no. I pivot my torso away, trying in vain to hide the instrument.
Come now, don't be selfish. Give it to me and you will have your freedom.
No, never. It's mine.
Your life will be yours again. Keep away from Illuvia and lay low for several years, and the crown will be none the wiser.
But I'll be without my loot. How will I live? How will I do anything? Can't take an instrument away from a bard.
I can't.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, he's mad. Ever since I've cared for it ever since I was a little girl. How can I possibly give it up now? Yeah, he's got that like polite and gentleman-like kind of like tone to him, you know? He's speaking in a very civilized way to somebody he's kind of viewing as like maybe not as civilized as him or like lesser than him. Like, cause I think it's almost clear that he's got a little bit of an ego thing going on. Cause he knows that he could just like kill her in an instant, right? So like there's a little bit of a power dynamic going on, I would say. So, but I like his polite and gentleman-like tone of voice. But yeah, he has got that sharp edge to it that like still proves that he's dangerous, right? And I think that's a really unique thing to have in a voice and a line delivery.
I can't give it to you. No.
Meanwhile, us as a character, we have this great kind of like femme brightness to our voice, but also this like wavering like fear in it as well, which is really brings to life the scenario that she's in, where she's like, yeah, I'm fighting for my life, and like the audacity in her voice of like, you know, the vampire saying that you know, criticizing her for how she's fighting, and she's like, I'm fighting for my life. Like that line delivery and like the way that she says things and the tone that she uses and a little bit of fear that she puts into her line delivery makes it so much more believable that, you know, she's actually afraid in this scenario, even though we've been very kind of like coy and like flirtatious almost in the dialogue choices that we've had. I can't give it to you, no.
I nearly lost it once already.
Nothing is stopping you from purchasing a new one once you have your freedom.
But it's not the same.
Certainly you'll have to save up for a while. I recognize the value of an average instrument, let alone how much an artisan lute must cost now after centuries of inflation. However, you will have plenty of chances to...
No.
It's not the same.
No. I said I won't give it to you.
Why not?
Why is he angry at me? Hypocrite. I raise my voice to match his tone. I can't help it. I get competitive.
You imply me to be insensitive on the grounds of trampling through your home, but what about you? Demanding my only means of providing for myself.
Your only means? Nonsense. You're able-bodied, young, far from hideous. Once you have your freedom, I'm quite certain you'll figure something out.
Your venerable age must have impaired your hearing then, vampire. Because I'm not sure you quite caught it when I repeatedly said no. I am not giving it to you.
I like how bold she's being. Like, he is right in a way. After she gains her freedom, she could, you know, she's able-bodied, she could find work, all kinds of stuff. She could get another loot, you know, but it wouldn't be the same as the loot that she grew up with, right? So there's some sentimental value to the loot that she's not talking about. And then he just doesn't seem to necessarily understand, because again, like you were saying, he's a centuries-old vampire. We don't even know how long this guy's lived. So he's been around for probably a long time. So the value of things probably has decreased Or maybe he recognizes that it's a sentimental item and he wants to collect it in a way, kind of like a serial killer collects things. It's kind of how I imagine. But, like, in return for giving her life back, he would take what is most precious to her. I think that would be a really cool kind of vein to go down. Interesting. She's really bold, though. Being like, no, and I told you no. My goodness.
Fine. Then you're not leaving.
Who said I want to leave? What if I think you're hot? Yeah, right? The only thing she's gonna give him is a beating. He flings his hand skywards, turning and stalking towards the nearest window.
I pray you'll have fun rotting in here for the remainder of your brief and miserable existence, mortal. At which point you and I might have something in common.
Is he trapped here? He erupts into a vicious flurry of black mess. Once the smoke clears, I see the flopping outline of a bat soaring out of the window and into the night. I groan between gritted teeth, jostling the stupid vase that I'm holding over my head. As tempting as it is to smash it, I set it down, and I begin gathering the dispersed flowers with a dejected sigh. The blooms are vibrantly fresh and fragrant. They're going to wilt with the water. Gods, I just got into a screaming match with a vampire and upset him so much that he had to, I don't know, go take an angry nap. I'm still alive. I should count this as a win, but I don't know. My chest is tight with apprehension. I wasn't supposed to annoy him. He said he'd rip me to shreds if I annoyed him. Damn it. God damn it. What have I done? I should have offered to barter with something else. I doubt he'd be interested in the few coins I have, and I can't bear to part with my music, but he did mention an option to trade knowledge. Even if he had centuries to experience the world around us, surely there's an obscure nugget of wisdom I can impart. After all, I like to think that everyone I meet teaches me something new. Right? I feel like I'm really interested in his character now because he hasn't just gone out of his way to kill her, right? Clearly he has killed in the past, but clearly it's also clear that he has let some people go, because he mentions that he's let people go in return for a precious item or valuable knowledge. And I think as an immortal character, I think that's interesting, because I like the idea of mercy with a mortal character, but this guy could easily just snap her and take it. But instead, he's like arguing with her and he's like valuing her as a person. And I think that really kind of gives to his humanness of his character and is going to make it easier to romance him later on, because he still has a little bit of his humanity in the fact that, like, I don't know how he drinks blood, but I have a feeling it's probably like with animals or something like that. Like, he doesn't drink human blood anymore, would be my guess. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe he enjoys a rare vintage. But yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't just like, you know, okay, and then snaps you in half and game over, right? I guess that'd be kind of anticlimactic, but it would be a good, like, game over scenario because you pissed him off so much. But I guess, I don't know, did we piss him off enough to, because he said stabbing him would make him deeply annoyed, but we just told him no, and if that was enough to make him deeply annoyed, then I'd be concerned. But we told him no, he stomped off and got mad, which is fine, he's allowed to be mad. But he's respecting us more or less by telling us no. He's just like, you can't leave, which is fair. We're being exiled, and that's the point. So interesting. I guess he's not going to kill us outright. So I'll have some leverage if I can figure out what he already knows. And if I can't, then I need to find something else to protect myself. The dagger will be of little use aside from cutting rope. I have a feeling this is going to be a very, like, Scheherazade tale, Stray Dog Serenade, where she's gonna end up singing to him and, like, giving him songs and stuff, things he's never heard before because she's making them up on the spot. and he's gonna value it so much that he's either gonna fall in love with her and not let her leave, or he's gonna give her her freedom. I think it's probably gonna be the way this route ends up going. We'll have to see. Night seems never ending as I creep through the estate. The vampire hasn't shown himself since our earlier squabble, though his absence does little to assuage my nerves. As any prey animal knows, deadliest predator is one you don't see coming. Exhaustion weighs against my eyes, but adrenaline keeps me on edge, pulsing through my veins like a heavy drum. The slightest shift of wind-blown curtains makes me jump. I keep expecting those moonlit eyes to be watching me when I turn. But the shadows are always barren, devoid of vampires. Does he truly mean to sulk for the remainder of the night? I suppose I should count my blessings while I can. As I explore, I notice how each successive chamber is spotless and immaculately tidy, aside from the furniture I disturbed, which I take time to straighten. I uncover an abundance of books crowding the shelves and various surfaces. They contain an array of technical topics, including geography, astronomy, invocation, and mathematics. They're all dog-eared and full of notes. Don't tell me he's read every book in the estate. Can't panic yet. I can still narrow this down. Assuming he takes time to clean his most frequent spaces, I have to pay attention to what is and what isn't covered in dust. Ooh, smart. Yet even locating a single cobweb presents a unique challenge. I set a book down, running my hands across the marble exterior of an engraved fireplace. Even this is pristine, unmarred by old ashes and flame. The nearby fire iron, at least, is an encouraging sight. I pick it up to give it a gentle swing, testing the weight, and wince when my arm throbs in protest. I have to remind myself to use my non-dominant hand. The fire iron has a dull tip that's unlikely to pierce skin, but a decisive strike should send anybody reeling, even an immortal creature of the night. Right? That's what I was thinking. I think it's going to be a very Scheherazade kind of tale where, you know, she's going to barter her freedom by singing songs and things like that. Because, like, yeah, if he's been stuck inside this mansion, then he probably hasn't heard the latest, like, songs. And even some of, like, the more folklore kind of songs, like, with traveling, he probably hasn't heard them. I wonder how much music he actually really knows. Because that's not really something... I'm trying to, like, rack my brain to think about, like, vampires or, like, immortal beings that are really into music. And, like, I can't really think of any. Not really. But I feel like you'd be interested in that, wouldn't you? There's a little bit of, like, with each song, there's a little bit of, like, story into it, right? Like, every song's got a little bit of a story to it. So he'd probably be interested in hearing, like, different stories from different areas. Of course, pissing him off by whacking him in the head is the last resort. I'm more interested in jabbing the fire iron into the ledge outside and using it as a handhold to climb my way up. The idea may sound absurd, but it could work. I won't know until I try. Although, even if I successfully scaled the ledge, I'd still have to defeat the moat somehow. My gaze wanders across the chamber, and we don't know how to swim. If someone is wealthy enough to build a castle, they usually enjoy surrounding themselves with larger-than-life portraits. One would think that I'd have found a big enough painting to pry off the wall and ride across the moat by now, but the decor is tragically modest. As I move to lower my arms, a gold glint reflects off the dark metal of the fire iron. Huh? I pivot my shoulders with cautious hope. There, thin rays of dawn's light gleam through the drawn curtains. My body practically moves on its own. I march to the window and wrench the curtains open. Morning daylight fills the chamber. I'd never been happier to see the sun peeking over the mountains like an old friend. Though, the moment the curtains shift, a small beige shape moves with it across the floor. A rat? I hate rats. I've always been scared of them. When I hop away from the shape, I observe how it doesn't continue to move. I bend to inspect it, using the fire iron for support. Aw. It's just a furled up scrap of parchment, brown and frail with age. Yet it's an unusual sight, considering how free of dirt and clutter the rest of the room is. Look at that, he's finally missed a spot. I suppose the vampire doesn't enjoy cleaning under the curtains, lest the sun sneak up on him unawares. I turn the paper over, noticing the smudge of charcoal rubbing off on my thumb. Part of a larger drawing. Maybe even one of those enormous portraits I'm sorely missing. Sure, it's worthless, but no harm holding on to it. Perhaps the vampire will appreciate my help in tidying up. It looks like the figure of, like, a girl. So I wonder if maybe he had a daughter or, like, a lover. I try and fail to hold back a yawn that makes my entire body shudder. The bloom of sunlight fixed in the sky, though refreshing to see, also serves as a reminder of how much time has passed, how little sleep I've gotten. There won't be a better time to get some rest. I look about the chamber one final time. To be so surrounded by various furnishings is a mystifying sort of torture. Despite all those nights of sleeping on the ground have left me yearning for the comfort of a cushion, I know I can't sleep here. The vampire needs only to close the curtains to accost me in my sleep. You go outside. Yeah, back outside I go. The days are long this time of year. I'll have plenty of time to try climbing the ledge when I wake. I grab a decorated pillow from the sofa. It's not much, but it'll make my cobblestone bed a little more bearable. I retrace my steps through the estate and practically collapse into the first ring of sunlight I find. I wake from a dreamless, restless slumber into the cold of evening. Sitting up with a jolt, I scan the sky with mounting dismay. Sundown again? Already? How could I have slept for so long? The clenching ache in my bones, blossoming bruises onto my skin, reveal the answer to my unspoken question. My stamina is spent. I won't be able to run the way I did yesterday. No, damn it! Feels like the very shadows are reaching for me, streaking across the ground like long claws. And speaking of claws, in the shade nearby, the vampire looks down at me with flat displeasure. Ooh. My fingers curl instinctively around the fire iron. You're still here, on the ground no less. Where else would I be? Why, I figured you would have climbed onto the roof, run some mental calculus to determine the best angle of approach, and then leapt into the moat to swim to freedom. I can't swim! A beat passes as I stare at him. Yes, that would be very practical, but anyone who tries it would surely splatter against the rocky ledge below. Perhaps. And even if they made it to the water, they would discover the alligators in the moat. Alligators? Really? No. What the hell? I think I liked you more when you were menacing me about what crimes I'd committed. Oh, that was her. I think I liked you more when you were menacing me about what crimes I'd committed. She just likes the taste of her own medicine. Shocking. He folds his arms behind his back as he paces around me. I'm very aware that he can grab and drag me into the shadows if he so desires, but he's choosing not to. You never did tell me what you did to get sent here. You're right, I didn't. We stare at each other now, sharing an ugly pause. What did we get? Why did we get sent here? I apologize for my behavior last night, and for making a mess. Truly? He looks as though he's expecting a punchline. Yes, truly. I don't know what it's like to own an estate, but I'm sure it's dreadful having someone run through it. Indeed. Will you tell me what you're planning to do with my fire iron? What, this whole thing? I could lie to him, but I see little point in it. While I've developed a skill for enthralling an audience with tall tales, it's not as if I can trick him into believing my stories are real. Unless they're children, of course, and the pacing vampire hasn't seemed terribly childlike thus far. In any case, I'm not a good liar. When one is not a good liar, honesty is by far the better policy. Very true. I'm also a really shitty liar. If you leapt at me, I would have tried to swing it at you. But I also thought I could use it as a handhold to get over the ledge. I cannot begrudge you for your caution against me. But using a fire iron as a handhold, really, the ledge is made of solid stone. It's old, isn't it? Surely the stone has weathered down over the years. It most certainly has not. You'd begrudge me for trying everything at my disposal? I might if you ruin my fire iron in the process. You need not try such inventive tactics if you agree to barter with me. Right, yes, about that. I'll have you know I'm extremely well-traveled. How important are you about the recent history and your discoveries throughout the world? Right? That's what I was saying. What makes you think I would be interested in such things? Oh no, that's not good. You mentioned you were opening to trading knowledge. I remember it like it was just yesterday, because it was yesterday. Every 2 years, I receive a new guest at my estate. Each guest has some capacity to tell me the news of the outside world. I have previously offered their freedom in exchange, but hearing news of the outside world loses its appeal when one is not welcome to participate in it. But some men and women have nothing else to give. Surely you would not deprive this opportunity of a guest when you have more to offer than this. My loot feels heavy against my back. What else can I offer that amounts to the price of my freedom? Your songs! Sing your songs! Please, I can't give it to you. He scoffs at me. Just when I thought you were seeing sense. But I may yet be as amiable as you've been to me. Last night, I hadn't fully understood that you played music as your primary profession. Not at first. My recent slew of guests have been cutthroats and highwaymen. I forget that I've also housed scientists and artists. I presume you must be good at your craft. As such, you need your lute more than I do. Sudden and unexpected empathy leaves me speechless. He takes my silence as permission to continue. This is what I was talking about. He still has a little bit of empathy and humanness in him, so this is gonna drive us towards having a relationship, and I think that's really interesting. I ought to also admit, it's been a very long time since someone has told me no. I bet. It irritated me to hear, but it is within your right to say. Forgive me for making it seem otherwise. See? Okay, green flag, green flag. As if our cordial conversation hasn't been astonishing enough, the vampire inclines his head towards me. You're forgiven. But wouldn't everyone have fought you to the bitter end? I imagine there must be several no's sprinkled in there. He chuckles wryly. When properly bound and restrained, one's capacity to fight to the bitter end is quite limited. I expect this lends itself to making my guests more amenable to negotiation and to giving me anything I should desire. Oh, he really wasn't expecting me to break free of my bonds. Enough of this matter. I suppose we approach this from a new angle. What do you want, mortal? If freedom has no strong appeal for you, perhaps you'd be more interested in power, in immortality. Ooh, now you're talking. I don't miss the saccharine way he says that last word. No, I'm barely sure I do want freedom. I can't imagine what price I'd have to pay for the other two. My stomach growls. But I could do with some food. Food. Even if I get out of here, the nearest village is miles away. I won't get far on an empty stomach. You'd ask a vampire to feed you. A marvelously modest start to our negotiative relationship. Your empty stomach shall be filled. I shall have a surplus of blood lying around here somewhere. That's not what humans eat. I'm joking. I'm not so old that I've forgotten what mortals eat. Come with me. He's got a little bit of a sense of humor. That's cute. I like that. He's funny. We like a funny guy. He begins to lead the way. I struggle to my feet, but have enough difficulty steadying myself that he pauses and turns to observe me. I end up using the fire iron to help me maintain my balance, like a metal walking stick. You look pitiful. I'm sure. My apologies for not being the picture of grace after a 9-day hike with slave-driving guardsmen. Now, where exactly do you plan on taking me? The vampire is kind enough to slow his pace and walk with me in parallel tandem, but he stays in the shadows and I in the waning light. We're astoundingly paranoid. I'm taking you somewhere I can feed you, like we agreed. You must mean to feed on me, don't you? No. He says it with such a disgust that I gape at him, taken aback. Oh, don't even begin to act offended. Have you looked at yourself? Rude! Rude! We're hot. Leave me alone. We are filthy. Yeah, that's true. Filthy. Dragged through prison cells and mud. Your taste most certainly will be foul. I bite back a retort about how I'm supposed to taste. More importantly, you're not going to kill and eat me, ever. Covered in muck as you are, I have no desire to touch you. You doubt me? I don't know. It sounds like you'll attack me the moment I'm clean. I can't get a read on you. Maybe it's your fetish to lure your victims into a false sense of security. Ooh, smart. How easily you remark on a stranger's fetishes. I had my suspicions that you were a traveler, but I'm certain now you could not have been raised in Alluvia. Ah, yes, beautiful Alluvia, kingdom of ungrateful prudes. They don't appreciate me here at all. I'm quite certain they do not. Okay, so we're a foreigner. Interesting. You might also be a foreigner. You may have a seat here and wait. Oh my god. You may have a seat and wait here, though I can't agree the chairs won't bite. Very funny. He smirks a little at that, though he turns as if to hide it. The kitchen is nearby. I won't be long. I caught a glimpse of his kitchen during my exploration last night. I noticed it was stocked with little love pans and utensils, but I never imagined that he meant to use them with any frequency. I'll expect you to stay put, woefully wounded as you are. If you wander off and I can't find you, I'll have to dispose of your meal into the moat. Very well. I'll tame my adventurous spirit for the time being. Wouldn't want your imaginary alligators to be fed in my place. You're catching on. Good girl. True to his word, the vampire returns in short order. What do you bring us? He sets a tray loaded with roasted roots and a grilled perch before me. A simple enough meal, but one of the most beautiful sights I've seen in a recent memory. It's not a plate of blood. It's not. Shall I switch it out for you? No, I'll be quiet. I reach for a fork and slice into the fish, excited to savor my first meal in days. I take the first bite and... It's awful. Some of the sharp prison slop tasted better than this burnt over salted tragedy. Even stranger, I taste hints of cinnamon, garlic, and coffee. At this point, I have no idea what I'm eating, but I'm too hungry to stop. I must have outdone myself. Don't forget to breathe. Mortals need air in their lungs, I hear. It is delicious, isn't it? My fork pauses against my lips. Oh, here we go. We're gonna be honest. It's really not. It's one of the worst cooked fish I've ever had in my life, but it tastes better than starvation. Vampire regards me with unreadable expression. His next words are as slow as they are measured. I've served more than 100 guests in my lifetime. Not a single one of them has described it as, I quote, better than starvation. Without constructive criticism, how will you improve? Surely you will not begrudge me for being honest. The vampire watches me finish my next bite, eyes narrowed. No matter. I care not what you think of my cooking. His lower lip is unmistakably jutted into a small pout, but I don't get to see it for long. Aww, he's pouting. Yeah, we gotta teach him how to cook. We can have a cooking lesson. Now that I've given you a meal, you will now give me something I want in return. What do you want? Why do you keep insisting on these little trade deals? He shrugs his shoulders with a touch of derision. It is my nature. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. No service without a cost. Fine, vampire. Can I interest you in a song? He arches his brow and says nothing, but I can tell I piqued his interest. Yeah, see? I've seen your books. All technicality, no whimsy. It must have been some time since you last heard a compelling story. I shift my lute into my arm, strumming it once for intrigue. A tempting little preview. Very well, Bard. A song in exchange for the meal. That's fair enough. I lower my gaze into my lute, heaving a sigh I didn't know I was holding. Good. I just have to play a single song. It's a simple request, one I've filled thousands of times over and at several dozen taverns, but the thrill of anticipation is making my fingers shiver. Just yesterday, I was grimly certain that I would never perform again. Now I'm performing for the vampire who was supposed to tear me to shreds. I trace a fingernail over a single string. Then I pluck at each string sequentially, testing and tuning in turn. And then I begin to play. We're gonna get a... Ooh. Cute. A little strumming. The vampire, who until now had a perpetual proclivity for pacing, slows and pauses mid-step to watch me with hands folded on a writing table. My voice turns into the best weapon I've ever wielded, stronger and sharper than any knife or fire iron. Notes trickle from my lungs, rush through my throat, and pour from my lips into a song that floats the room with a tale most forlorn. The ballad I've chosen starts melancholic. It follows a young man as life takes and takes from him. His father is the first to be taken, life cut short by a plague, betrothed the next, abandoning him for a wealthier man. Rude. When he's brutally mugged and left for dead, he feels as though his last remnants of peace have been torn to shreds. He finds himself alone, left behind, forgotten. His mind is swallowed whole by raging grief and self-loathing until one day, he decides it's his turn to take. He takes a torch to the stables of his former betrothed. Ooh. He takes a nobleman's heart with false oaths and pretty words. He takes the world by storm, molding it like wet sand to fulfill his every desire. When I finish the song, I offer the vampire a small bow. That was cute. I like that story. Throughout my entire performance, his gaze clung to me like a thorn, never once wavering from my body. What a wretched protagonist. You don't like it? It's one of my most requested tavern songs. Ah, how baffling to hear that human men find inspiration in an egocentric finale. There's a version of the song with a female protagonist. It's not always requested by men. Another unexpected revelation. Although I find the song's message disagreeable, I will concede that you sung it well. Oh, thank you. We lapse into a brief silence, not quite looking at each other. To my surprise, he's the one who speaks next. Business state. I often forget what it's like to have more than the sound of my own thoughts and cicadas crying in the night. With nothing to interrupt the passage of immortality, silence can be maddening. How much do you earn at these taverns of yours? How many songs did it take for you to afford an instrument of that quality? How many songs? I've never thought of it that way. It doesn't really work like that. I looked down at my lute, running my fingers over its surface. It was given to me, which means I never actually had to pay for it, but I don't need to share that with him. Sometimes I compose original songs on commission, but theirs more time-consuming, but affords me more gold. As for crowd work, a classic in a well-stocked bar on a good night would net me several dozen coppers and a handful of gold. I suppose it amounts to 100 songs or so. If I combine the two, of course, saving up for an artisan instrument would be even longer. Yes, 100 songs, you say? Is that how long we're gonna have to sing? 100 songs over 100 nights, and I will ensure you have food, hygiene, and an eventual safe passage from the state. Hygiene? But if I'm clean, you'll want to suck my blood. Then you can be clean in the day and dirty yourself up in the night. Do what you will. His words hang in the air between us like a haze. Despite the numerous opportunities he's had to hurt me, he hasn't laid a hand on me all night. If my safety really is guaranteed, it's a tempting deal to take. Besides, it's not like I have many other options. Just some songs and you'll let me go? You won't try to steal my loot while I sleep? Take me for a common thief, how dare you? Such an appalling accusation when you clearly see I still have all my fingers. Ah, another fingers joke again. The vampire raises his hands for me to see. The familiarity of the gesture is uncanny. Yeah, we just did that, that's funny. It seemed to me that you're a powerful vampire, like you can recover from serious wounds in an instant. You could once have been amputated to the elbow for all we know. And speaking of vampires, I seem to recall a legend that suggests your kind can't cross running water. Which means you can't leave the estate either, can you? I'm curious to know what crime you committed to be sent here. Interesting. I forgot about that little tidbit. That's not really something that comes up very often with vampire lore, but there is like a vampire lore that vampires can't cross running water. And so like running across rivers and things like that can guarantee you safety, which I guess makes sense why there is a river running through this particular moat. Yeah, it's not really talked about very much. Typically when you think of vampires, you think of garlic and steaks and coffins and things like that, but like there's some little things that like they like can't do. Like one of them I think is if you tie a knot over their grave when they, maybe it's for zombies, but if you tie a knot over their grave, like with a rope, and they wake up, they're compelled to untie the knot, so you can have them untie the knot until morning, and then they burn up and fry. They also like count beans or something like that. They're compelled to count things that scatter on the floor. So that's a really interesting little vampire lore that we got there. That's really interesting. Enough. I would your song tomorrow. He stands to leave. Do we have 100 songs? Good night, sweet prince. Don't let the bedbugs bite. You realize I'm not going to sleep. I just no longer wish to be in your company. Then I hope the bedbugs do bite you. Keep speaking that way, and there may be more biting than you bargained for, mortal. I clamp my mouth shut. He strides to the nearest window. Like before, he erupts in the mist and takes off into the night in the shape of a bat, but this time he's left me with a half-finished plate of unsauced fish. Interesting. Okay. Harmonic conversations. Do what you will, the vampire said. I was reluctant to believe it when he gave me free roam of the estate, but he's since made no move to impede me. I was allowed to wander wherever I pleased. Okay. good to see you, Meowster. Thanks for popping by. I'll see you next time. Yeah, next time we're streaming is tomorrow. We're doing Baldur's Gate 3. So if you're around tomorrow night, it's gonna be a later stream at the 9 o'clock my time. But I don't know what time it is for your time zone. But you can check on the schedule tab. It'll tell you what time we're starting in your time zone, so you can catch a stream if you're interested. But other than that, we have Homestuck on Sunday. So yeah, great to see you. It is 5 o'clock for me right now, honestly. I always stream in the middle of the day, kind of like in the middle of the afternoon. So that's just the only time I have to stream. On Wednesdays and Sundays, though, we stream later in the evening. We stream at like from 9 to 11. So that's our time zone. But again, you can check the schedule tab and I'll show you what time zone or what time it's starting in your time zone. It should, at least, as far as what I know about it. So yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I figured that a lot of people end up watching me in like that 1 a.m. to like midnight hour. That's typically what I've been getting so far from people that have come into the stream talking about time. So yeah. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by, Meowster. I'll see you later. Have a great night. I discovered little of note, just more books in the continued absence of dust. Nothing more suspicious than the errant scrap of paper from my first night. Despite my efforts to distrust him, the vampire only appears to feed me some disgusting fish and claim his song. He stays long enough to make wry commentary sometimes, and small talk other times, but in physical proximity, he's given me a wide berth. Song, poof. Song, poof. He's polite enough, I suppose, and utterly uninterested in causing me harm. That was enough for him to move me from a cobblestone bed to a cushioned one. The days soon blend together like the colors of a sunset. Other than my fading bruises and brief performances, there's little to mark the passage of time. The monotony of our routine sways my feelings of weariness into restless puzzling. Questions swarm my mind like locusts, and my aimless wandering doesn't yield enough to fruit to feed them. I'd like to sate my burning curiosity by interviewing my vampire, but I'm not sure how to approach him when he vanishes after my song's final notes. Besides, I still have every reason to sleep with the fire iron wedged underneath the door handle. Every so often, I'm startled awake by blood-curdling screams. I ventured out from my room more than once, fire iron in one hand and my dagger in the other. I tracked the noise up many flights of stairs, worried I might stumble upon the vampire feasting on an unlucky traveler who washed up the river. Then I would stand at the foot of the door. Then I would stand at the foot of his coffin for a long time, waiting to hear signs of a struggle, waiting to see pools of blood oozing from across the floor. But I was always met with an eerie, unmoving silence. I went back to sleep with my bed pushed against the door each time, determined to keep out whoever or whatever was making those horrible sounds. Although I'm sure I would have run into them by now if anyone else was living in the estate, one can never be too careful. Still, as harrowing as those noises have been, sleeping on a natural bed is incredible. I'm starting to feel pampered. The food still leaves much to be desired. But I have pillows, blankets, and the softest pole carpet on my floor. A creepy estate is indubitably better than camping with stinky, surly guardsmen and sleeping on the ground. It's a hassle to share my bed to and from the door, but I think it's a small price to pay. Brisk, invigorating air fills my lungs as I step into the courtyard. A shiver scuttles across my spine as I settle into deep grass. I position my songwriting journal in my lap, having recently freed it from my clothes with some careful incisions. I always get lost in thought when I turn its pages. The act of deciding on a song makes my heart swell with calm contentment. After choosing one of my older pieces, a melody I wrote when I was younger, I wrapped my lute over my shoulder and began to practice. My performances occurred in crowded areas before I came here. I had to compete with the clamor of moving people, from passerby to precocious drunks. Here in the grass, I found myself not needing to fight for coin or for attention. I can focus on my music, and nature itself is my ensemble. I sing softly, timing my rhythm with the shifting trees and the gurgles of the moat. I like to imagine my notes, quiet though they are, carrying far into the forest, reverberating down mountains. Performing without an audience. My pulse quickens, startled by the sudden voice, my fingers slip. My next drum is discordantly off-key. I squint skywards, trying to make out shapes in the darkness. Reclining across a brick carpet overhead, the vampire stares down at me with his usual flat expression. I slam my journal shut and hide it behind my back. You, did you mean to sneak up on me? You'll have to try harder than that if you want to catch me off guard. In an easy, soundless motion, the vampire drops to the ground like a falling feather. He saunters towards me, eyes glimmering like diamonds in the dark. I can assure you that if I were to try harder at such a thing, you would not wish to be the recipient of my attention. And I'll have you know that I was here first. Then I suppose I've disturbed you. I didn't mind. His reply was faster and more decisive than I anticipated. My heart hammers harder against my ribs. What is this? Fear? Am I really afraid of a speedy retort? Ridiculous. In a vain attempt to hide weakness, I hover my hand over my chest. No, I suppose you wouldn't mind a free ballad. See me hibernating in the rafters this time of night. I don't normally perform for another hour or two. Not tonight. He gestures to the night sky. The moon above us looks swollen, rounder, and larger than I remember ever seeing it. Even so, is a mere full moon really so impressive? I part my lips to express my thoughts when a warm shadow inches across the moon's surface, spreading from its left side like the cocoon around a caterpillar. Ooh, blood moon. Soon the moon is as red as a sunset, a glowing rosy marble anchored in the night sky. A blood moon? A total lunar eclipse is the technical term, though you may call it what you like. It only occurs 3 times a year. The people of Olivia insist that a blood moon is a bad omen, and seeing one during my travels was a foreboding sight. Yet, the vampire watches the moon with such urgent intensity, I fear his admiration for it is contagious. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. What does it mean to you? Are you more powerful while it lasts? The vampire barks out a small, surprised laugh, and his eyes cut away from its stargazing and glance at me. No, not at all. I simply... He folds his arms behind his back. I enjoy the view. The carpet is the best spot to observe the heavenly bodies in the sky. The ground is a close second. Vampire tilts his head, watching me with an expression I've never seen him wear before. Confused guilt. What is it? And my hand twitches, ready to seize the dagger at my belt. I have been referring to you as Bard and Mortal all this time. I don't believe I ever asked for your name. I rest my hand over my lute, relaxing some. Right, we yelled at each other in the hall and never even introduced ourselves. So you can call me... Oh! We get to name ourselves. You can call me Evelyn. Yes, it suits you. Does it? He smiles at me enigmatically. You can call me Lucius. Lucius. His name weighs on my tongue like a stone. I never imagined myself learning it. With how often he alluded to his immortality, it slipped my mind that he must have been a human man once. It's a humbling thought. Moreover, this is the longest amount of time we've spent without the distraction of music or bartering. He's even feeling affable enough to learn my name. I should try asking him my questions. I may not get a better chance than this. Lucius, if I ask you some questions, will you insist on making a barter? The vampire does not respond for a while. It depends on the question. I suppose that's fair. How about this? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I can move on to the next one, and we'll talk for as long as you're willing to entertain me. Now I'm the one entertaining you, and at the generous cost of nothing. What an amusing turn of events. I'm surprised you're so eager to talk to me. I believe you said something about the maddening silence of eternity. I begin to understand what you mean. I see. Ask your questions then, Evelyn. I will not ask you to trade your possessions, but I may like to quell my own curiosity. Change. He agreed. I wet my lips with anticipation. There's sometimes this noise. It sounds like screaming. That doesn't sound like much of a question. I'll rephrase. Wait. The source of the noise will not hurt you. It is now your turn to answer my question. With haste. The haste with the Lucius changes the topic is unexpected. Not altogether unwelcome. He did save my curiosity to a degree. Tell me something. As a bard, what do you know of the stars? A simple question that leads to a comprehensive answer. Wise play, vampire. I observe the pinpricks of light above us, winking in and out of the mauve cover of the night. I don't remember the last time I relaxed enough to admire them. Before my arrival here, looking at the stars meant I was looking over my shoulder. I needed to watch my own back, keep myself safe and alive. Though I sang of beauty and adventure, it seemed pointless to actually indulge in such things. I was far more focused on where I would lay my head or earn my next coin. How strange to be able to indulge in stargazing now with the vampire standing nearby. I traced different patterns in the sky, moving with practiced ease across between each dot. The horned serpent always points north, even if its body shifts. Its tail will tell you where you've been and where you must go. Ah, yes, the horned serpent. Anything else? It's harder to navigate using the others, but I know a few stories. This box-shaped cluster is the treasure trove of the goddess Meladrinal. Supposedly, it contains every possession humans have lost throughout their lives, and I draw my fingers between the 7 brightest stars in the sky. That's the first king's crown. Stories say he bequeathed it to the heavens, an offering to the gods to keep his bloodline on the throne. It's actually funny, Olivia hasn't had a king in centuries, and it most certainly isn't his bloodline anymore. It seems the gods played a nasty trick on him, Lucius chuckles. It's a low and abrupt sound that I'd lose my train of thought. They may have indeed. Evelyn, I may yet know a story that you do not know. Shall I share it with you? Yes? Share your story. I arched my eyebrow at that. Who says I don't know the story? You're being unfair, vampire, making me play guessing games. Lucius, right. You're being unfair, Lucius. Then tell me this, Evelyn. Do you know the story of when the stars first appeared? There's a story behind that? Aside from the idea that each one was placed in the sky by the gods, I suppose I don't know this one after all. I knew it. Oh, don't float. Are you going to share the story with me or not? He lets out another low chuckle before he deigns to continue. I suppose no one knows for certain how the stars were created, but one of my guests shared with me a tale from his homeland. See, that's what we're talking about. Talking about traveling tales and tales from other cultures. Things that may be interesting to him. Unlike the self-serving stories Olivia dictates to his children, his kingdom believes that humans were not always a fixture in our realm. He believed that once, a very long time ago, the world existed in an endless night, a quiet, pitch-black quilt of eternity, unbroken by castle spires and bonfire smoke. When humans began roaming the earth, they would hold their newborns up to see the divine darkness. The stars above them, dotting the skies in this peacefully lonely world, were believed to befriend these infants and provide protection. The stars were there when we first arrived, and they will persist long after we are gone. That is what he believed. Thus, watching the night sky is when we are getting closest to glimpsing what it is like at the beginning of the world and what it will be at its end. Gods, did you guess Ernest Freedom with the story? I would have given it to him, yes. His cryptic phrasing gives me pause, and Lucius falls quiet. His gaze remains transfixed on the sky. Meanwhile, I'm having trouble tearing my eyes from the metallic air he wears like a heavy cloak. I don't know how I could have ever missed it before, but I think that sadness has always been there. The more time I spend here, the harder it becomes to see him as a monster Olivia led me to believe he was. Perhaps that's what makes him dangerous, or perhaps... I shiver again, rubbing my arms as the breeze whisks through my hair and clothes. Lucius promptly turns away from the sky, clicking his tongue at me. If you are cold, head inside. It will be challenging to play a lute with icicles with fingers. You know, I'd like to stay out here a little longer. Monsters aren't supposed to watch the sky and tell you stories about where the stars came from. Monsters aren't supposed to spare your life and cook disgusting fish for you. The wrongness of my perception of him is eating away at me. I need to ask him my next question. Were you human once, Lucius? How... It doesn't take him long to pick up where I trail off. How did I turn into this? No, He holds his hand up to stop me. He's not bothered by the exact phrasing of the question. I was human once, Evelyn, and in many ways I still am. You're well aware of my standard method of vampire infection, I'm sure. Be bitten by one, mix their blood with your own. Then there's usually some manner of death or near-death experience. But then voila, you're a ravenous immortal of the night. But I suspect you're also aware that I was not created in the same way as others have been. I'm quite alive rather than undead. And I'm no sire or coven to compel my allegiance. Uh-oh. OBS just gonna... wait for it to come back. Come back, OBS, come back! I believe in you! You can do it! I guess this is where we will end it because my internet has been disconnected and I don't know why. I'll check the Gob and make sure that everything's okay. We might be having a power outage or something in the area. So I'll just go ahead and cut it here for today. We'll go ahead and save. We'll save right here in this empty slot. There we go. And we will learn about Lucius's backstory next time when we play. So yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great evening. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be playing Baldur's Gate 3, like I was saying earlier. We'll be playing that tomorrow, so if you can hear me, we'll be playing that tomorrow. It'll be really fun, so hope you come join me for that. We're doing kind of an evil playthrough, so it'll be a little bit different than probably how other people have played Baldur's Gate. Hopefully it should be interesting. Other than that, we have Homestuck on Sunday and Mass Effect on Tuesday. So we are going to start Mass Effect on Tuesday, so I have to get the mods set up for it and make sure it's running properly. I'm going to do that this weekend. But we are set to play that on Tuesday, so hopefully you guys will join me for that then. And yeah, otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow or Sunday for Homestuck. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great night. Bye, everybody. Bye.